Hello, Syngap Land. My name is Michael Grawley. I'm this episode 135 of Syngap.10, your 10-minute weekly briefing on everything you need to know about Syngap1. Today is Monday, March 4th, and I'm going to tell you about what happened last week. If you just listened to the last episode, you know that at the beginning of the last episode, I was getting on a plane and flying to D.C. last weekend, and I was going to fly right back. So how come it took me 5 days to write this? Well, it was a bonkers week. There was a heck of a lot going on. Let me blow through it because I know I went a little long last time. First of all, DC was epic. Having the board there together in person was really motivating for everybody. We made a lot of good decisions, which I'll talk about in the episodes to come. But SRF is really finding its stride, and we're going to the next level in a number of ways. And I'm so grateful to the board, current, and the people coming and the people going. And again, to Kirkland and Ellis for hosting us. So just know that we had a great meeting. We're definitely going to do it again right before Rare Disease Week. And everybody who's on the board and leadership team should plan on joining us. And if you're in the DC area, we do dinners. Guys, everybody's welcome to dinner. Also, Rare on the Hill. As I mentioned, I'm heartbroken that I had to come back. I really love this event. I think it's one of the best things we do in the rare disease community, where you really get to understand the size of the rare disease community and meet other advocates in your state. I unfortunately could not do that for family obligations, but Nancy, John, Vicky, Kathryn, Marta, Suzanne, and Jess Johnson all did do Rare on the Hill, and I want to thank them for advocating for Syngap1 on behalf of the Syngap Research Fund and for building their own powerful networks in state to help their own kiddos. Awesome work, guys. Last week of February, the last day of February is the rarest day of the year, so that's Rare Disease Day, very cute. So that last week of February next year, you can already mark your calendars. It's going to be great. You might be noticing that I am drinking from a black and white SRF cup. And what I'll show you is the other side, which says the Rare Brew Coffee Company. Mike, what is this cup? Why are we not using the three colors? And who is the Rare Brew Coffee Company? That's the question you're asking. Well, the Rare Brew Coffee Company just sent me this box, Coffee for a Cure. Does it look a little familiar? The colors, Rare Brew Coffee Company. Check this out, guys. This is the coolest thing I've seen. They've got amazing packaging. They've got their little logo thingy here, and they've got cute whatever, and they've got delicious coffee, freshly brewed in Pittsburgh, with this fancy cup. I didn't even know, or whatever this is, scoop or hair clip thingy, and roasted on February 12th, 2024. So fresh. So recent, so delicious, I'm told, because I haven't made mine yet, but I will. And then here's my card with the code SRF10. So if you go to Rare Brew Coffee Company and you use SRF10, you too can order coffee. Who are these people? Well, they're Syngap family. They're Syngap family who've started a whole coffee company just because A, they love coffee, and B, they want to raise money for the Syngap Research Fund. So now if you're like, I don't know what coffee to buy, there's so many options, you can buy the Rare Brew Coffee Company. You can even get their starter pack, support the Syngap Research Fund. It's amazing. And I mean, this is the same family behind the Cannonball, by the way, right? Serial entrepreneurs, just can't stop. We can all do this, guys. This is one family. Everybody's got an idea about how they can support Syngap Research, and the more money we raise and the more research we fund, the sooner we get there. The more research we support, the faster the research goes and the quicker our kids get treated. I firmly believe this, that we've been working like crazy for 5 years. Guess what? We got 50 years ahead of us. We're always going to be pushing forward. We already have repurposed drugs that we're working on. We already have genetic and other therapies, but I'm telling you, the complexity here is endless. And the best way to support our kids is to raise money for the Syngap Research Fund any way you know how. If it means starting a coffee company, go for it. If it means having a bake sale, do that. Let me keep going. Let me give you an example of this research. It's like I planned this. I didn't. The latest Rick Huganir paper came out. Rick Huganir, as you know, is one of the co-chairs of our scientific advisory board. He is the man who discovered the Syngap gene in 1998, I believe it was. And he just put out a paper in which SRF is thanked as a funder. This was the very first grant we gave. The very first grant we gave was given to Dr. Huganir's lab. And so we supported some of the work that is in this paper. By no means did we support all of it. The NIH is in there, but it's really important to us to be acknowledged in these papers and to point out that was 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Okay, this stuff sometimes takes time, but in the past 2 years we've supported a couple $1 million of work, And in the years to come, we're going to keep seeing this work. And if you keep doing fundraisers for SRF, we're going to continue to do this, and we're going to continue to get important findings. This was pretty high science. A lot of this won't be super meaningful to you, but I want to tell you about the one thing in this paper that is really, really meaningful. Basically, and you can read the summary and whatever, click through, but Syngap means there's a gap domain. A part of the gene is a gap. GAP stands for something, RAS gap. And therefore, people say, oh, well, if you have a gap domain, gap is short for RAS gap. If you have a RAS gap, then you're a RASopathy. Oh, very exciting. Let's put you in the RASopathy bucket, and we'll do RASopathy grants and go to RASopathy conferences and whatever. And I remember I got on this train like 4 years ago, and Aaron Harding and I went to a RASopathy conference here in California. And I'm sitting in the back of the room, and I'm listening to the talks, and I'm looking at some of the patients in the room. I'm like, this doesn't feel like, what's going on? This doesn't feel like Syngap. I start talking to people, and they're like, yeah, well, neurons don't divide. And really, the RASopathies are all about tumors. I'm like, tumors? And then every now and then people are like, oh, we're RASopathy. I'm like, stop talking. Stop it right now. Our parents have enough to worry about. They don't have to worry about tumors. Our kids do not have tumors. We are not a RASopathy. And this has been discussed. And some people who want us to be in all the clubs are like, we're RASopathy. I'm like, no, we're not. And a couple people have given scientific talks saying probably not a RASopathy, but whatever. Well, this paper, and I quote, and I put this tweet in the show notes. I'll read you this tweet. It's by another researcher. It puts the nail in the coffin of treating RAS abnormalities and Syngap disorder. What this means, we're not a RASopathy. So, very important paper. And I just want to commend Professor, I should say, he's a big dog, Professor Huganir for this incredible work. I want to thank him for thanking us. And I want to mentally note that we need to have Professor Huganir do a webinar to walk us through this one, through the mice paper he just put out, and then there was another one. He's been so busy. It's incredible. In the last episode, the day I spoke, another article came out, and I want to mention it. File this under DEI. It was an African-American family talking about their Syngap diagnosis experience. And this is super important, guys. I mean, if you think having a Syngapian as a Caucasian family in America is hard, which it is, imagine having it as a black family with all the systemic racism against you. That's why we're so underdiagnosed with our black or African American families. So I really think it's so important that the Petersens did that article, and I hope it's the beginning of continued engagement by SRF with the African American community, because we have patients out there in that community, and we got to get them diagnosed. Because whether you're black, white, or other, right? If you behave like a Syngapian, you're going to get labeled as a bad kid. People are going to treat you accordingly. And we got to get you labeled not as a bad kid, but as a sick kid, and we got to get you the meds that will help you be better. State coordinators and advocates. As I mentioned last week, we're still looking for people to sign up. There's too much going on. We need somebody who's willing to say, I'm going to know everybody in my state with Syngap. I'm going to be the point of contact for them. And we need somebody else to say, I'm going to be the advocate for this state for SRF. I'm going to keep track of all the rules and the regs in this state. And when parents have IEP problems or school problems, or they're looking for a lawyer or whatever, I'm going to help them find that person. This is really important work. It's a great way to start getting more involved with SRF at the local level. And I'll point out Syngap1 Stories. So this podcast is just me blathering on, right? But Syngap1 Stories was started by Ashley Fry, and that is two Syngap parents in conversation talking about what they do. Well, Ashley Fry couldn't do this one, but Jessica Johnson is interviewing Jackie Kancir, who's being interviewed, and Jackie is the head of advocacy for SRF. She's a national advocate in her own right. It's her day job. She works with the National Council on Severe Autism. She's a huge force in Tennessee, and we are so lucky to have her. So if you're thinking about, well, what do it mean to be the advocate, and who would I be working with? You'd be working with Jackie Kancir, which would be a privilege. Listen to the Syngap1 Stories with Jackie Kancir. I believe it's episode 27. And then please sign up either to be the state coordinator, which is really just like being the hub. Like you're the person in New Mexico. I have no idea how many patients we have in New Mexico. What I need is someone I know who's owning New Mexico, so I can call them and say, hey, something's going on in New Mexico, or how many patients do we have down there, or what's the latest, blah, blah, blah. You get it. It's all about building a little more structure in this community as our community continues to expand. Speaking of an expanding community, the Polish community, by virtue of the incredibly hard work of the people there in Poland doing it, and also Beata, who as we know is stateside but goes back and forth, is really strong. And our latest warrior 198, is from Poland. And I believe Beata said that's the youngest patient in Poland. So, we used to be, every week we do a warrior. Yay, very exciting. Warrior Wednesday has gotten a little slower. People aren't raising their hands as quickly. Guys, putting your kid on Warrior Wednesday is a way to let the whole community know about your kid, but also as time goes on, researchers call me, they want to know about Syngap. I said, guys, we have 198 kids profiled on our website. Go read those profiles. That's what Syngap is. Don't sit here and tell me you don't understand Syngap. Go read on our website. It's right there. So it's a way to really connect with the community, and you can just go to curesyngap1.org/Syngap-warriors, click share your story, boom, you're done. So please check that out. Repurposing. I'm going to kind of keep this to a thought a week because I realized last week I went off. When you try a new molecule, any molecule, take notes, videos, and pictures. This is really 2 thoughts. Take notes, videos, and pictures. Systematically take notes, right? I've seen a spreadsheet that's like cognition, pooping, seizures, sleep, behavior. I've seen my own notes, which are just a paragraph on each day. But videos and pictures too, because it's amazing. As you know, I'm currently I'm doing an N of 1 right now of Tony, and the change I'm seeing just in 40 days is amazing. And I wish I had more videos because I'm like blinking at what I'm seeing. I'm not even sure I believe it. And then I was, again, we've seen this in another patient potentially. If a drug increases cognition, you would expect frustration, right? You would expect kids who are like, some of the things we can do with our kids, we can do because they don't know what's going on, frankly. We think they don't know what's going on. And I just was talking to a parent who's trying a repurposed drug, and at first we're like, oh, it's not going right. Behaviors have gone up. And then in hindsight, we were looking back and we're like, starting to think that actually what that drug did is that helped her understand what was going on. And she was mad about it. And so, again, systematic taking notes, if you're doing repurposing, any new drug, is really important as we have these conversations with clinicians and we try to get these drugs available to more and more patients, which is the goal. I really went off on repurposing in 134, guys. I'm not going to repeat myself here, but in the previous episode, the YouTube links in the show notes, please go and listen to episode 134. Repurposing is coming, and I want you there. Reminder: if you're watching this on Apple Podcasts, all these are also on YouTube, and our YouTube channel is really rich. We have 935 subscribers as of today. Please go to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If we get up to 1,000, it's a good thing. And realize there's a tremendous amount of content there, including episode 134, which you should watch. By the way, siblings. So we have on our website a sibling support page, which has a lot of cool content. If you have a sibling of a Syngapian, you should make sure they know about it. There's some good videos there. But there's a sibling support kit. So you can download it there in English and Spanish. But if you want it in English, you can actually sign up on that site, give us your name, your address, blah, 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 age of sibling. And we will, in partnership with UCB, get you a VIP sibling kit sent. It's really good. It's materials designed for the siblings of kids with developmental and epileptic encephalopathies, DEs, which I talked about, I believe, in episode 133. And I've just given one to my son, and I was talking to our nanny about it, and she's actually also a sibling, and she was looking through it, and she was like, wow, this is really good stuff. I wish I'd had this. So anyway, check that out. Okay. I'm going to have to move this down. Let me go to Ed's list. I am so grateful for Ed Gabler for a few reasons. First of all, Ed leads marketing and comms, and it's such a relief for me. Second of all, Ed is a granddad, and I was saying this to John Hill and Nancy and others. It's when the granddads and the great aunts and the great uncles and the sisters and the brothers decide to really get into and commit to SRF that we move faster, because we saw this with the Tavilla family too. The families, the nuclear families, we're exhausted. We're raising these kids. And we need other people who love these kids but don't have them in their houses to really consider volunteering and leaning in so SRF can move faster. And that is and Ed Gabler is the the ultimate example of that. So thank you, Ed. So Ed reminds me to mention Aaron Harding was interviewed in a podcast, the Deaf Blind Powder podcast, talking about Syngap. Great interview with Aaron. Please check that out. Jansen Jones, who's the daughter of Suzanne Jones, who was the chair of our board and just a force of nature, was one of 2 children featured in Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. They did some press for Rare Disease Day. Great article. Check it out. I already talked about episode 27. And then we had a newsletter go out. These newsletters, you've heard me say it, are a ton of work. Ed just put out issue 37. Can you believe it? We have 37 issues of these things. Go read the newsletter. It's a good summary. Scholarship. UCB, which is the same company, by the way, that did the sibling kit. But UCB has an epilepsy scholarship. It is due March 15th, which is in 12 days. Anyone who's diagnosed with epilepsy, so obviously now our kids aren't going to be going for this, or immediate family members, right? So if you're a mother or a sibling of a Syngapian or a father, and you want to go and you want to apply for a scholarship, apply for this. Deadline is March 15th. There's a flyer in there. And let's talk about fundraising. I mentioned this before. We cannot do this work without raising money, guys, and we need every single family to raise money. If you can raise $100, raise $100. If you can raise $1,000, raise $1,000. If you can raise $100,000, don't raise $10,000 and say good enough. Raise $100,000. We need every single family to do as much as possible. We just got grant applications. I was flipping through them. Very exciting stuff. Very exciting. Some of it's really cool. But it adds up to a lot of money. These things add up fast. And we should feel lucky. We shouldn't feel overwhelmed by, oh God, now we got to raise another whatever. But we should feel grateful that there's quality scientists out there thinking about Syngap, thinking about it enough to send us 20-page detailed proposals about ways that they can help Syngap. And just to be clear, I'm saying this in public. Don't send me basic science experiments on Syngap. This would be interesting. I don't care. Send me proposals that explain that if this works, we can get closer to a therapy for a Syngapian. Those are the proposals we're looking at, guys. Real life stuff that can help us either develop therapies better or get more kids like Missense into our trials. Super exciting stuff. Every fundraiser matters. So Sprint for Syngap is April 27th. There's a Riften giveaway, these adaptive tricycles that are so cool. Any team who raises more than $500 qualifies for this. Right now we have 12 teams signed up as of, I think, Saturday. Last year we had 28 teams. We've already raised $26,000 in donations. Come on, guys. Keep going. 26 grand, and we have to add a 0 to that. So wherever you are, go to Sprint for Syngap, start a team. If you have questions, email info@curesyngap1.org, email jbell@curesyngap1, email someone at curesyngap1.org. We will help you get that page set up. Really, really important stuff. $1 Million Bike Ride, if you're a cyclist, is June 8th. We had an amazing event in 2023. Every year we raise money through that. UPenn matches up to $30,000, so that's basically a small grant every year. Please do it. South Carolina, I got the message. On October 5th, we'll be having their golf scramble. Check that out. And then there's a ton of events, but I'm just going to mention the conference. The conference is in December in LA. December in LA is amazing, right? If you've not been to a conference, I was just with a family the other night who got diagnosed, I don't know, a year ago-ish, not even. And they didn't go to our conference because they weren't ready. None of us are ready. But don't deprive yourself of this community, guys. If you're diagnosed with Syngap, there's going to be 100 other families. There's going to be a room full of Syngapians and clinicians and families and people who know and love your kids but haven't met them, and people who are just waiting to be your friend, and scientists who are working on therapies that will change your child's life and therefore yours. If you're not in LA at the beginning of December, I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know where else you could be if you've got a kid with Syngap. So please pre-register for that. And if you want to help make it happen, Stacy with an E, STACEYCEY at curesyngap1.org is the lead on the conference this year. Please reach out to her. Let her know you can help. We have so much work to do. All right. That's all I got for you today. A little shorter than last time. I look forward to hearing your feedback. Thanks for being a part of the Syngap Research Fund. We are making the future better for our kids, one day at a time.